So, the destination is just up there. But yeah, the travel videos, I can see that being the most viable content on YouTube that I produce to be revenue generating. So we'll see what happens in the next year. Obviously, I have a hard time wrapping my head around what kind of content to create when I'm not traveling. So this is one of my first shots at it. So if you guys like to see more stuff like this around the city or in Alberta, where I'm from, let me know. But I'm in Calgary. I don't know if you can see downtown. It's just over there. If you want to see more, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. So aside from the normal job, like I said, life's hard. If you want to get ahead, you got to do a little bit extra. So what my thing is, I got into developing software. And the good thing about software is it has such a high margin for the amount of time that you put into it. If you can build a desktop app for Mac OS or Windows, or even an Android app or iOS app for the iPhone. I'm working on Watch OS apps for the Apple Watches. You could put a couple of weeks into an app that creates annual revenue of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. But realistically, if you can make $1,000 a month on something you put a little bit of time into, you get a couple of those going, then that income basically just replaces you having to go work a normal job. So that's the direction that I'm headed in right now. I like my normal job, and more so, I like the people I work with. But when it comes down to it, you're essentially just exchanging time for money, and that's unfortunately one of the slowest ways to make money. So, there's a goose down there. If you ever have the opportunity to not exchange time for money and do something a little bit different, then I would recommend to go into that direction. I was previously an operations manager at a multi-billion-dollar company that was Canada-wide, and I learned a lot about business there. But prior to that, and since then, that was 6 years ago, I haven't really done anything with business other than my own. When you do something that's going to scale, you don't want to do it as a sole proprietorship here in Canada, because what's going to happen is once you start making revenue and income, most likely, if it's successful, it's going to push you into a very high tax bracket, and you're going to lose probably half of your money, half of your income to taxes. For instance, in December and January on the software, we're going to turn around. We're not going to cheat and go back. We're going to take the long way back. But yes, in December 2025, January 2026, I made over $200,000, and luckily I saw the growth coming, and I was able to incorporate the company before that happened. Otherwise, if I would have lost $100,000 to taxes, probably even more, because that doesn't include my regular full-time job income. So how it works here in Alberta is as a small business, and what they consider small business is to be profit of up to $499,000. They say $500,000. I don't know what it is, if it's plus or minus $1. But anyways, once you're over $500,000, you lose the small business rebate, I believe it's called. So you move from paying 9% or 11% tax up to in the 30%. But regardless, that's still less than if you're paying regular income tax. as a sole proprietorship under the normal income tax brackets. So I think the rule of thumb is, now don't take this as professional advice, it's just what I've learned in my experience. But basically, if your income is over $100,000 and you're working for yourself, you should incorporate. Here in Canada, incorporating is pretty straightforward. I don't know how it is in any of the other provinces. But basically, yeah, to incorporate a business here in Alberta is pretty straightforward. You just go down to the registry, tell them you want to incorporate a business. A few things you might want to have in mind before you get down there. And actually, filling out the paperwork is your corporation name. Not super important because they'll assign you a number if you don't have one, which is completely fine. You can always do business as your company name after. This is my understanding. Like I said, double check with a professional. Aside from the corporation name, they're going to ask you how many shareholders. So this is important as well. You don't need to have other shareholders when you're creating the corporation, but however many shareholders you create slots for in the beginning is how many there will ever be. So let's say you incorporate your company and you put down there will be only one shareholder. You can't change that after. Now, you can put 5 or 50 or 100 or 1,000, and that's fine. And you don't have to assign those. But if you're going to want to grow in the future and you don't want to have to create a new corporation and transfer everything to the new corporation, then you might want to add those shareholder spots in the beginning. Aside from that, it's pretty straightforward. When I did it, it was about $500. After you do that, you're going to want to go to the bank. Whatever bank you bank with is fine. Tell them you'd like to set up a corporate account. It's free to set up. And depending on your balance, there may or may not be a monthly fee, which is completely normal in banking. For instance, with my bank, if you hold a balance of $20,000 or more, they waive the monthly fee. If you have less than $20,000, you get charged the $20 fee for the specific bank package that I have. Yeah, depending on what direction you want to go from there, there's a few more steps.